Hello all, Rambling Canuck, back for another Star Trek Picard review. Today's Picard review is going to be on episode 9, which is part 1 of a two-part finale. Now, as usual, this will not be a scene-by-scene breakdown of every single thing that happened within the episode itself. I will start out by just giving my overall thoughts and a grade, and then I will let you know when the spoilers are going to come, and you can click off if you haven't seen the show yet. So, without further ado, grab your beverage of choice, sit back, and let's get to this. So, overall, I liked this episode for the most part. It surprised me in certain spots. The plot really changed and quick. I have some theories on this that I think you might find entertaining, whether you agree with me or not. You might find them a little entertaining, and even wishful thinking to some degree. But overall, I give this episode a 6.5 out of 10. It was better than last week's, and I wasn't really expecting a big battle scene in this episode. Kind of light spoiler here, there isn't a big battle scene. But more the build up and explanation for the battle to come. And that's pretty much what we got, with a little bit more filler and a little bit of a couple of shocks and twists thrown in for fun. So now we're going to move on to the spoiler portion of this video. So if you haven't seen the episode, please click off, and thank you for listening, and click back and listen to the rest of the review after you've seen the episode. So, with that out of the way, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So, Picard in this episode felt like Picard. There were a couple of moments when I thought they could have done a little better. I'm a little afraid, however, because in this episode, Picard admits that he has a terminal disease. And that kind of scares me that they're bringing this up now in season 1. I thought they'd hold off on that little nugget until season 2. Because it kind of scares me that they're thinking of an exit strategy for Picard already, and that, as a Picard fan, kind of scares me. However, I do like his line in the show when he says, "The first one to treat me like a dying man runs the risk of pissing me off," because that is Picard. That felt Picard to me. It didn't feel out of character for him. He's a proud man. He doesn't want to be treated like a invalid. That really shone through for me. A lot of the Picard moments within this episode, I thought were pretty well on. One thing I didn't like was the Orchids of Doom. Basically, for those of you who haven't seen this and are still listening, they arrive at the planet, and they're taken down not by a defense array, not by weapon fire. They're taken down by freaking orchids. Yeah. Moving on. Oi, orchids. Oh God, orchids. Okay, so moving away from that, I love, before the attack of the killer orchids, we had a wonderful scene of the Borg cube, or the Borg cube that Seven of Nine retook, coming through the conduit, and it looks awesome. It is the picture I have up on the review here. It looked amazing. However, they kind of kicked themselves in the nuts after a wonderful awesome entrance of the cube for the cube to be taken down by freaking orchids. Yeah, that's a thing. It's a thing. Okay, so as you can tell, I really don't like the orchids. I really don't like the orchids. The orchids are stupid. Very, very stupid. Anyway, I'm going to try to get off the orchids. Now, they crash land on a planet, and I don't know. The cube seems to be in somewhat better condition than I would expect it to be in. I mean, it does look pretty totaled, but they're able to get the systems back online pretty quick, even for a Borg cube. So that kind of made me go, huh? I also think that it's not the last time the cube is going to intervene. I think it might actually either A, retake off and join the space battle, or it's going to become a weapons platform and be used to attack ships from the surface. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I have a funny feeling the Borg is not quite out for the count just yet. Now, unfortunately, it looks like the ship is going to survive. Darn. So there goes my theory, but you never know. They could blow it up next episode, but I doubt it. So we're moving through the episode, and when they do arrive on the android town, I guess you could call it, we see Brent Spiner. And he introduces himself as Sun's son. Now, I had to watch this episode twice, and I had to think about this. And to me, everything screams he's lying. By that, I mean it's freaking lore. I am convinced, until I see it on screen, that it's not, and he's flesh and blood. It's lore. 100%. As far as I'm concerned, I've convinced myself of this. Maybe it's just headcanon, wishful thinking. It's lore. And it even gives kind of a reason, even although I think this is more wishful thinking headcanon. However, he's always been jealous of Data. And he's always wanted to be better than Data. Because he's always felt that Data soon loved him, Data, more than Lore. And so he's always wanted to be a little bit better. And here he is around androids that are technically superior to Lore. So him wanting a different body doesn't really surprise me all that much. So it could work within the story for it to be Lore. So yeah, that's my theory. It's lore. Definitely lore. Now, we end this episode with Picard being arrested by the synths because they have decided that the best way to do this is to summon a race of synthetics that are basically Big Brother, that are watching everyone, and they're going to summon them to save them from the Romulans. Now, my only concern with this, because it is an interesting premise, however, the concern with it is is please don't let it be control from Discovery. Please? Please? No? Dear God, no. Anyway, so for those of you who haven't seen, basically the whole Zhat Vash vision of impending doom was really meant for synthetic life, not meant as a warning to us flesh and blood people, but instead meant for synthetics as a beacon so that if they ever find themselves on the brink of extinction, they can use the code that's within this message to summon the Federation of Synthetics to help them destroy their humanoid or biological overlords. Oh, fun. Not exactly sure how I feel about this, even now. I'm not 100% sure. Kind of on the fence on this one. But overall, like I said, it was a decent episode. 6.5 out of 10. Wasn't the greatest, wasn't the worst. Story flowed well. They had a couple of surprises in there, as I've covered. So they're trying to keep you engaged. Okay. And it's definitely lore, and screw the stupid attack Orchids of Doom. But, other than that, it was decent. It wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. And I think that's where I'll end this. I look forward to next week. Please, Picard, stick the landing. Please stick the landing. You don't have to be phenomenal. Just be decent. Thanks for listening, folks. Please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, take her easy, folks.